Well, hello boys and girls, welcome along to today's United Kingdom talk. And today I'm sat in front of a lake. The lake is in a place called Southall Park, which is part of Bracknell. Rather big park. A lot of people come over here, probably who don't have gardens or whatever, and play football on Sundays and that sort of thing. And right in the middle of it is a great big lake, and it's got little, I don't know what they are, seagulls. I can't see any ducks. There are supposed to be swans in here as well, but I can't see the swans either today, which is a shame. And I have, as I said on the last show, I have now purchased a little fold-up stool. It's all very sad, really. A fold-up stool. Can you believe we had to go through... there must have been about 3 or 4 fold-up stools before I found one that actually worked. They all kind of kept falling apart as I was sitting on them. Maybe it's my fat bum that's doing it, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm sitting down on my new fold-up stool, ready to chat to you today. All right, welcome along. My name's Chris Reardon. This is United Kingdom Talk, our 3 times a week talk show. You can email the show anytime. The email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. After watching the last show, I thought that I was sitting in the shadow most of the time, and all you could see was a kind of silhouette of me. Now, I have to say, when I record the show, I look at a little video screen in front of me as well, which is kind of attached to the camera. And once again today, it does look to me that all you can see is a silhouette. However, when I watched back the programme on, which I don't like to do, to be honest, don't like to watch myself. I hate it. I absolutely hate watching myself. But after looking back at it, or a little bit of it, about 2 minutes to be honest, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I can't take more than listening or watching a show for more than 2 minutes at a time. How do you sit there for a bloody hour? Eh? How do you do it? I watched a little bit of it just to see how it came out. And actually, it wasn't too bad after all, was it? I wasn't sort of a silhouette. It was a little bit more than a silhouette. Not much more, but nevertheless a little bit more. Now, I've come out today, as I say, a lake, sort of, I don't know, a medium-sized lake in the middle of Southall Park, which is here in my hometown of Bracknell. Now, for some reason, and I've been saying this to you for a long time, I woke up. I've been saying to you for a while that I wanted to wake up early one day and go over to the forest and record the show over there, complete with all the different bird sounds and everything like that. And I thought it would be rather marvellous. Well, hey presto, this morning, for some reason, I woke up at 7:30 in the morning and couldn't get back to sleep. You know how it is. Isn't it hard to get back to sleep once you've woken up? Why is that? And my usual get-up time is 10 in the morning. Now, I did go to sleep a little bit earlier last night. I suppose I was in bed by 2 a.m, so maybe that's something to do with it. Can you hear the geese? Oh my God, we're going to be attacked by geese, dear. Now, you want to shut your mouth, goose? Otherwise you'll end up on my kitchen table. What a cheek. I mean, if it's not children making a noise, it's geese, isn't it? Anyway, so 7:30, I kind of tossed and turned for a bit, and then I thought, oh, you might as well get up. So I did, I got up. And here I am. Now, when I got up, the sun was shining, the sky was blue, and I thought, this is going to be a nice day, right? I left it about an hour and a half. I had a cup of tea. I haven't had my breakfast yet. I had a cup of tea and done a little bit of work on the computer. Then I got my bike out, loaded it all with my camera and my microphone, my bits of paper and my recording equipment. As soon as I left the house, I looked up at the sky and it was as grey as anything. And I'm wondering if we will actually get through the entire hour, or Is it going to start pouring down with rain and we'll have to finish the show in the studio? I don't know, so we'll have to see. We will carry on. We will carry on and hopefully not get too wet today. It's a shame though, because it did look like it was going to be a really nice day. But there you go. The camera and my microphone is actually situated on a public path, right? Now, one of the reasons for coming out so early was that I hoped that no one would walk past. So far, only one person has walked past while I was setting up and didn't question what was going on. He just carried on and walked past with his dog. So we might have a couple of visits by dogs later on. It doesn't matter, does it? I don't know if I'll be able to carry on talking to you when people are walking past. They'll probably stand there and gawp, won't they? Why do they do that? Have you done it before? When you've seen some poor old soul on his own chatting away to a camera, have you stood there and gawped at them, you know, stared like that to see what's going on? I honestly don't think I'll be able to carry on, but we must try, my dears, we must try. The good news is, later on in the show, I have brought with me part 5 of Robert Pellis's The Elves of Iceland. So that's coming up in the show as well today. Okay, now an interesting thing, as well as quite a few emails that we've got to get through today as well. Now, listening to, or watching a news programme last night, and it says that at times we can lie up to 3 times. Now, how many times do you think that is? 3 times every 10 minutes. Can that be true? I don't think I lie every 10 minutes. I never tell you a lie, my darlings. I've told you before, if you've got any questions, personal or otherwise, send them through and you'll get an honest answer. I am honest, Chris. I mean, you could quite happily buy a car from me and believe everything I tell you about the said car. You could easily buy off me a holiday. If I worked in a travel agent, I would tell you, boys and girls, I would tell you if the entire country is building hotels all over the place, so your holiday will be ruined by noise. Of course, one of the things that you can do to alleviate any problem, I recommend, right, that you take with you on holiday your MP3 player and load it with my podcasts, eh? And then that will alleviate your problem. Oh, talking of podcasts, I've got a new one for you to try, which I only discovered the other day. It's called The Absolute Peach. If you're on the iTunes, just type that into the search engine. Once again, it's called The Absolute Peach. Okay? So get that one done. Can I just check something? I thought for one moment I hadn't started. I always think I haven't turned something on. I don't know why that is. Well, there's been a couple of occasions where I've been chatting away before and I've forgotten to start the sound equipment. And then I have to do the old thing again. You know, I have to talk for 2 hours instead of 1, which actually I don't find too much of a problem. It's very windy out here. Can you hear the wind or not? Oh, dear, dear me. I should have bought a windbreak. Those are awful things. Have you seen those on the beach? People have got those, haven't they? Windbreaks. Completely useless inventions. They just end up tipping over when it's too windy, don't they? Anyway, so what do you reckon? Do you think you lie 3 times every 10 minutes? I don't. I don't know how a survey could come out with something like that. People lying 3 times every 10 minutes. Do you lie? Go on, tell me now. What is, all right, I want you to share with me a little secret here. What is the biggest lie you've ever told? Huh? What are mine? Oh dear. What's my biggest lie? Do you know, I don't know. I should have thought about that before I started rabbiting on about it, shouldn't I? I don't know. I'm trying to think carefully now. What would be my biggest lie? Well, I don't know. No idea. No idea what my biggest lie was. What have I lied about before? Oh, well, I mean, I've said to people that I've got no money on me when they ask to borrow money. Of course, dear. I've told you before, I don't lend money to anyone. It's the worst. You should never lend money to people, right? Because it doesn't come back. It rarely comes back. I'm sure there's people listening at the moment who have borrowed money off people and paid it back straight away. I'm sure you have, right? But in my experience, it's a horrible thing to say, isn't it? Most people do not pay back money on time. Don't lend money. Similarly, do not borrow money. I've whacked on and on to my older nephew about this before, and I think he listens. I don't know. Never borrow money. You've got to live within your means. Don't borrow money and then be having to pay it back for the next 10 years. It's just awful. Awful. All right? So, what lies have you told, perhaps on a regular basis, or do you remember your biggest ever lie? Eh? Let me know on the email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I certainly don't believe that people lie 3 times every 10 minutes. Do you? I can't believe that's right. What did I do yesterday? Oh, took a load of cloves down to a charity bin. We have, it's not far from here, from Southfield Park, where I am. In the car park where the new Audi is, there's a big charity bin thing there, and you take all your old clothes that you don't want, you just put them in there, and I suppose they either give them out or to people who can't afford them, or to other countries. I don't know how it works, or maybe they take them to somewhere and sell them to raise money for the said people. So I felt good yesterday, but rather foolishly, I loaded my bike up. I mean, completely. The bags on the back were completely filled with 2 lots of clothes. I mean, it was so heavy you couldn't lift the back of the bike. And then I intended to cycle into. There's a lady coming with 2 dogs now. We'll see if she stands there and gawps. Okay, don't say anything. Don't say anything, will you? We'll just see if she gawps. So I loaded up the bike yesterday with 2 loads of clothes, and the idea was I cycle to the clothes bank, to the clothes recycle bin, and then from there onto town to look at a couple of items that I'm considering for the studio. What I'm thinking of doing is getting a large flat screen television and hanging it on the wall behind me in the studio, right? And then having on that rotating pictures and maybe little films. And you could send in your own pictures, you know, picture of yourself or your family or something like that. And that would be quite nice, don't you think? Maybe pictures of scenery or animals or your pets. You can send those in if you don't want to, if you want to. Doesn't bother me. There's a lady walking past with 2 dogs. You haven't got to hide those dogs from me. Lovely dogs. 2 little dogs going past. Yeah, you could send in those pictures if you wanted to, and we'll have them on the screen. What do you think of that idea? Nice big flat screen telly behind me, rotating pictures of you, dear loyal listeners. Eh? Just a thought. So that was the idea. I also intended to buy the little stool that I'm sitting on at the moment. So I set off from my house, had the clothes in the bag, and then while I'm cycling on the way to the recycle bin, I thought, well, let's give our good old friend James Dean a ring. So I'm on the phone, chatting away. And then I got to town, all the way to town, and I suddenly realised I still had all the clothes with me, and I'd unnecessarily cycled all the way to town, dear. Now, this unfortunately meant I didn't think I'd be able to fit my new little stool in the bag as well. But I did eventually. I forced it in. I pushed really hard. Sometimes you have to, dear. Sometimes they just won't go in and you have to push harder and harder until it slides in easily. And it did. My new stool slid into the bag, complete with the clothes. And hopefully that'll make some money for someone. So that's what I did yesterday. A long way to go, because those clothes are really heavy on that. Now, what else have I got here? Oh, yes. Now, you know I've got solar panels on the roof. Right? The government in the UK have got this scheme run by Ofgem, OFGEM, and they are supposed to, or they say that you can actually get money for the electricity you create. Now, from what I understand, it doesn't matter whether you actually use the electricity or not. The idea is you've got your solar panels on the roof, or maybe if you've got one of those wind turbine things, okay, and that feeds into a meter, right? You make a note of the readings. You're supposed to send it off to these people called Ofgem, and then I think once or twice a year they issue some sort of certificates for which you can then get money for making your own electricity. All right? Now, hear that right? That's for the electricity you make. Whether you use it or not is neither here nor there. They will pay you for making your own electricity. That's how I understand it. Now, I signed up to these people about a year ago. You can have a look on the internet. I'm going to give you the web address to see if you can make head or tail of it. So go and grab yourself a pen and I'll give you the web address for this. Did you see that? Two people just walked past with dogs and I was able to just carry on with the show. I must be a real professional now. I just carry on regardless. Eh? I'm professional. I think the next show we're going to have to do in the middle of Bracknell Town Centre with people walking past. I'll probably have things thrown at me by chavs. Anyway, back to this thing then. Let me give you the website for this and you can have a look. It's Renewables and CHP. All right, I'll spell it for you. Renewables and CHP. RENEWABLESANDCHP. All right, Renewables and CHP. Excuse me. .ofgem, OFGEM. .gov, G-O-V. .uk/public. Once again, have a little look at that. Renewables and CHP .ofgem .gov.uk/public. Now, I've explained to you what happens. You get all these online forms to fill out, which I have indeed filled out. And I sent my first lot of numbers off to them about 3 months ago. Didn't hear a thing back. Last week, I got an email saying we have a query on your account. So I had a look and there were 2 inquiries that they were making to me. I'm telling you what, I cannot make head or tail of that site. I do not understand the faintest what I'm doing. I've been on the phone to them 3 times now and they have explained how it all works and I just don't get it. And it seems to me that whoever's running this thing, whether it's our government or the European people, well, I don't know who runs it, have made it as hard as possible for you to get this money. It sounds to me like it's a big publicity thing. You know, either the European thing or the government are trying to make it look like they are doing good for the environment, where actually To actually claim any of this money seems a real minefield, and I haven't got a clue to what I'm doing for this thing, and I start getting angry with this. You know, you're on the website trying to work out what's what. I just don't get it at all. I just do not get it. The website is very badly laid out. It doesn't explain what's what. They ask you for these numbers. One of the emails I got back was that you haven't sent your half-hourly figures in. Are they telling me that I've got to read the meter every half an hour? You are having a laugh. And it's so difficult to understand. I don't suppose there's anyone, certainly here in the UK, or indeed wherever you are, who are lucky enough to be able to afford solar panels. I had them installed coming up to 2.5 years ago now. I had a little bit of money at the time. Didn't know what to do with it. Thought I'd stick them up on the roof, and over years they'd save me money in electricity, and indeed they do. My electricity bills are extremely cheap. I pay £16 per month. That's about $30 a month. That's all I pay for my electricity bills, because a lot of it now I make due to the solar panels I've got. Okay? I'm not being greedy here, but if this money is available to everyone, then why not claim for it? Yes? But they seem to have made it so difficult. And I just wonder how many people out there have got, you know, small time. I'm only small time. How many more people have got just a few solar panels on their roof, creating just a little bit of electricity, and are entitled to some money, but just can't work out how to do it? It's a minefield. See what you think on that one. Okay, I'll give you the site again: renewables and chp.ofgem.gov.uk/public. See what you think on that one, okay? Last night, yesterday afternoon it was actually, well, no, was it last? No, yesterday afternoon. Fortunately, yesterday afternoon, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I went into my bedroom, ready for my afternoon sleep. I usually have a little kip. Kip is a sleep, incidentally. A sort of a small sleep is a kip. Okay, when I say, oh, someone's going to kip for a couple of hours, that's a small sleep. For those of you outside the UK that don't know what that is, yeah, went for a small. Got in my bedroom, took my top off, just about to pull the covers back onto the bed, because I don't always make it, you know, a bit scruffy like that. And there it was on the wall. Now, usually, if I see a small spider somewhere in the house, even if it's in my bedroom, maybe it's on the ceiling or in a corner somewhere, minding its own business, I will leave it. But there it was. I've got the edge of the bed so high, about, I don't know, about 2 foot off the floor. And literally 2 inches above that bed was the biggest spider I've ever seen in my house. My God, this thing was its legs. Oh, I've got creeps up my back now. The legs of this spider were as big as my hand. And I thought, and it literally was right next to the bed. It looked like it was it was waiting for me to get in the bed, and then it would have attacked. Ah. I could have been eaten by a man-eating spider and not be sitting here today had I not have taken action. So what did I do? And no, I did not get a shoe out and squash it on the bed. I cannot do that to one of God's little creatures, dears. Certainly not. I looked at it and I thought, I wonder if it knows what I'm going to do, because, you know, there's this spider was on the wall, attached to my wall. How do they do that, eh? I mean, there's several times I've tried to climb up walls. I just can't do it. Can you? There it was, attached to the wall, 2 inches above where your Chris Reardon usually lies. Yes, it was watching. So I quickly went out to the bathroom and got one of the plastic cups and a piece of card. I think it was the back of what was it? Oh no, it was actually an invitation to my uncle's golden wedding anniversary. I got that out of the office, crept back into the bedroom on tiptoe. Well, I wasn't on tiptoes, I was just very quiet. Crept back into the bedroom. And there it was, still on the wall, and it had not moved. I slowly approached the spider, and then quickly, before it could think, straight over the spider with the cup. Gently, of course, but firmly. At that point, I saw the spider drop off the wall and into the cup. I thought, success. And I got the card and very, very carefully put it over the cup, took the spider to my open window and chucked the whole cup and the card outside, and off it went. Well, do you think that's cruel, chucking a spider out? Well, it's better than killing it, isn't it? I cannot kill a spider. It's funny, isn't it? I don't like to kill things because they're all doing something. And of course, here in the UK, there are no spiders that bite you. Completely unpoisonous spiders we have in the UK, so no danger at all. But I mean, this thing was big. I've never seen such a big spider in my house before. The only spiders I've seen bigger than that are the ones in the Daintree rainforest, or indeed in the Queensland area in Australia, where I was a couple of years ago. They're big. Oh, they're big, and they bite. They got fangs. Oh, I got fangs they have. So I thought I'd tell you about that nasty... well, no, it wasn't a nasty spider. It wasn't doing anything, was it? Letter here. Oh, dear, it's that time again from the Bracknell Dental Centre. Dear Mr. Reardon, I'd like to remind you you're now due for a routine dental checkup at the practice. Oh, dear. So I'm going to have to ring them up and do that. Actually, I've held on to this letter now for nearly 15 days. I better ring them, hadn't I? I might ring them when I get back in from recording the show. I changed dentists recently. I was with a private dentist who was extremely good. He was very, very good, I think, but expensive. I mean, I seem to have been spending £800 a year on dental care, which I thought was a lot of money. So I'm back with one of the NHS dentists now. And I don't know, I suppose they do all the same thing. So I'm going to go to him for a checkup and give them a ring. There's a huge difference in the price. The private dentist used to charge me £35 for a checkup. The NHS dentist only charges £16.50. So I mean, a huge difference in the price that you pay there. There's been a few stories on the television and say that the teeth of people in the UK now are nowhere near as good in a lot of cases because people just can't afford to go. Well, oh, excuse me. Oh dear, I'm sneezing. Years ago when I was a child, I think that it was free dentistry for all, but gradually prices were brought in. I think it's still free for certain groups of people, children under 16, and I think pensioners as well. I'm not sure if they're free. Perhaps if you're a pensioner, do you have to pay for your dental care? Do let us know, Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. How much do you pay for a checkup? That's where they just look at your teeth. In the US or in Australia or Switzerland or wherever you are, what do you pay to just quickly have your teeth looked over? To see how they're doing, to see if any work needs to be done. For us, via the NHS, it's £16.50. What is it for you? Do let us know, Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right. Now, we're going to move on to some emails now. First of all, indeed, we're over to Switzerland. And Niall, hello Niall, who writes, Comment vas-tu? What does that mean? How are you? I'm very well, thank you very much. Very well. It's a bit windy out here, as I say. There's a man coming along on a bike now. And at the back of his bike, he's got a little child carrier. I think it's a child in there. Anyway, I'll see him go past behind me in a minute. He's got a green jacket on and an orange kind of thing behind him. Salute Chris. I think that must be French. I've got a feeling it's French. And he says, I had to return to the UK last... Did you see him go past then? Someone went past on a bike. I had to return to the UK last week for a family wedding. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding. They were wedding bells, incidentally. Here comes the bride, all fat and white. See how she waddles from side to side. I think that's the right words. Oh, I can only dream that one day I will be walking down the aisle in a full wedding white dress and a veil with someone like Cristiano Ronaldo attached to my arm. Will it ever happen, boys and girls? Anyway, Niall's been to a wedding. He says, I eagerly downloaded your latest few podcasts, ready to liven up my long drive, and in the faint hope that I'd have my email mentioned. Is that narcastic? Well, number one, I don't know what narcastic means, to be honest. That is not in my vocabulary. I shall have to look that up in a dictionary when I get home. He says, anyway, I'm really happy to say that half of the French autoroute disappeared inside 3.5 episodes, and my family and the family... Sorry. Oh, hang on a minute. I've read that wrong. Oh, sorry. I'll read that again. Anyway, I'm really happy to say that half of the French autoroute disappeared inside 3.5 episodes, and the family, while snoozing, were blissfully aware of my secret listening habits. So you keep that quiet, do you? Eh? Someone else gone past with their dog. It's getting quite busy here, isn't it? Busy, it's getting windier. I'm sure it's going to pour down with rain in a minute. I hope it's not too windy for you. I topped up the iPhone for the return journey and found your mention in the second hour of my listening last night. Most entertaining again. I'm glad that I am a source for your entertainment. I really am, Niall. He says, I was quite amused by the phone call you made after receiving a text from someone. Oh yeah, that was funny, that was. He says, it was rather ironic that we could hear only mobile interference during your call after you had just read my sentence that the production quality was excellent. Yeah, that was quite funny. That was because I don't know if you heard that show, anyone else, but I was chatting away about how I like the sound quality to be good. Often even with television, if you're watching television, you can kind of put up with bad picture quality, but you can't put up with bad sound quality. And I'm always worrying about how it sounds. Like, for example, today, it is a bit windy out here, and I'm concerned today that you're hearing a lot of wind through the microphone, but I won't know that, of course, until I get home and put the show together on the computer. But on this particular show, what had happened is that someone had rung me on my mobile phone. And I put the speakerphone on and then held it next to the microphone. Well, unfortunately, all you could hear was that strange noise that you hear sometimes, you know, when there's someone doing a news report on the television or something like that, and they have a mobile phone, you hear that which is actually interference coming from the mobile phone. You should never hold a mobile phone near a microphone or recording equipment, and of course that's what happened, and that's what Niall was talking about here. He says, while in the UK, I took the family to London. We went by train from East Croydon, and it cost me £18 return for 2 adults and 3 children, including a full-day travel card for the tube and buses in London. That's pretty good, isn't it? For 3 people. So you obviously went at off-peak times. Since hearing about the UK prices from yourself and doing some research on the internet, I was shocked at this bargain. The trainline.com website had told me that because of no 3-week prior reservation, it would be about £97 return. So there you are. Once again, we find from one of our listeners, Niall, that it is indeed always very, very wise to book 3 weeks or more in advance, okay? And you will then get the cheapest fares. Also, of course, Mark emailed into the show a few shows ago and said to us that it was also better, as well as booking as early as possible. It was always very wise to try, if you're on a long journey, to break up. Number one, break up your journey, and number two, do not go via London, because you then have to pay a supplement to the underground people as well. Okay. Niall says, so with having got a good deal on the day at the station from an automated machine, I treated the children to a visit to the Tower of London and a pizza restaurant for tea. Oh, we like a pizza. So as promised, to pronounce the village name, he lives in a village, it's Villati Hursilan. Villati Hursilan. Oh no, perhaps, I don't think you say that, the H. Villati Hursilan, that's where he lives. I still find it difficult to do. And he says at the end, à bientôt mes remerciements. Oh, I don't know what that says. Thank you, Niall. Nice to hear from you, sir. Okay. Glad you had a nice time here as well. It's always nice to know that people have visited the UK and had a nice time. Now, we've got some more emails. But first of all, I want to now read you part 5 of our story. Okay, we've got a kind of short story that will probably go for about 15 episodes or so. And here we go then, episode 5 of the story from Robert Louis Pellis. Oh, is it Pels? Do you know, I always thought it was Pellis. I've just looked and it's Pels, isn't it? I do apologise, Robert. Here we are, part 5, chapter 5 of our story by Robert Louis Pellis, The Elves of Iceland. 'Twas with the wind rising that our two heroes came face to face with the legendary elven pirate called Captain Spurray and his first mate, Topsy Turner. Elfish culture holds the crafts of pirates most highly, and indeed this is the source of much of the wealth that can be attributed to the elves. Pirates, or as the elves called them, pirates, sail magical longboats. For they sail not only upon the water, but also crest the tops of clouds when the moon is full upon the face of the earth. They carry axes made from teeth collected by the tooth fairies, and their swords are made from pure mouse horns collected at midnight upon the first birth of the new year. As with the land elves that hold the pussycat in high regard, so too does the pirate hold the codfish. Pirates are not a separate race of elves, but rather they are elves that have roamed the seas. The narrative of our story, therefore, shall assume that we understand that pirates are elves, for that is what they are. Captain Spoy says, "Ah, they ye be. Ye be a scrawny pair of land jockeys I been ever setting my eyes upon. I be hoping that yon Leo be wise in asking of me to speak unto you. I understand that you's been looking for a passage to the land of England. Well, I can take ye as far as the lands of Pharaoh. There I shall talk to my cousin who might be able to help. Mind now that I be expecting you to work your passage, and you be sharing passage with a troop of secret undercover elves from the Black Forest of Azibigri." They had travelled many a day to reach the gathering, and rare upon the face of modern-day Iceland to find such an area so deep and rich in forestry. It is popular with humans, even unto this day, as a place to set camp and enjoy the Horse Show Canyon. However, into this forest, the traveller would find a lake of such beauty that it tingles the heart of the soul. Duck play upon this lake, and high above the fumars swim upon the sky eddies. Close to this lake, one may spy the cave entrance to the land of dark elves that have since the birth of time provided the race of elves with the special gift. There you are. Part 5 of the Elves of Iceland, Part 6, coming up in the next exciting episode here of United Kingdom Talk, okay? Now, I've got to tell you, it is starting to spot down with rain a little bit now. We'll carry on. How long have we got to go? 27, 11, 21. We've got about 15 minutes to go, so we'll carry on, and hopefully it won't bucket down. Otherwise, we'll have to move back in the studio and finish off the show from in there, okay? All right, boys and girls, got an email here from Mark. Mark is the guy that works on the trains, and he says, subject, more from me, noisy neighbours. We're talking about noisy neighbours. I am fortunate enough that I do not have noisy neighbours, never have done anywhere where I live. Very, very lucky with that. I mean, there is a man I've mentioned a couple of times who lives kind of a few doors down, and he's always outside his house doing DIY, always doing something in the house. I think he painted his kitchen twice last year. He's always sawing or something else. Anyway, on the subject of noisy neighbours, Mark says, now Mark lives, where does he live? He lives near Birmingham. And he says, noisy neighbours, try living where I have. I have a couple who moved in next door, and some weekend nights the music is thumping away till 4 o'clock in the morning. But him and his other half daren't go round and ask them to turn it down, as they have some right nasty friends, and he puts in brackets, local drug dealers, bad roughnecks, etc. So it's a case of us having to put up with it. That's just awful. I can't think of many things that can be worse than bad, noisy neighbours. He says, it's getting to the point where if I'm on an early shift, it's better for me to go into work 6 or 7 hours early and sleep there. Not ideal, but it's a case of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's just awful. Now, I was about to say to you, have you tried complaining to the council? And he says, all the local council do is send them a letter telling them that they have received reports, etc. Well, let's be honest, it wouldn't take a genius to work out who complained about the noise when you're in a semi-detached house. They then offer to go and get all parties concerned round the table to talk things through. And he says, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, I see the problem you've got there, you see. I mean, if you complain about the people, how do you know they're not going to do something? I know exactly where you're coming from there. I really do. I wonder, do you actually own your own house, or are you renting it? Would it be possible for you to write to the council and ask them, if you're renting your own place, can you ask to be moved? Or do you actually own your own home? I don't know. That's a real awful thing, isn't it? Real awful thing. On another subject, Mark likes the picture of the Thames skyline that's been hanging behind us in the studio for a few shows. He says, your Thames skyline, I don't suppose you can remember where you got it from on the net. No, I don't actually. I don't remember exactly where I got it from, but I did find it on the internet somewhere a few years ago, and I sent it to my brother-in-law, and he's the one who made the lovely picture out of it. So that's what I did there, okay? I'll try and... I have actually already found it. I had it. I actually copied it from the internet and saved it to my computer, and I sent you a copy of it. So I hope you got that, Mark. All right, do let us know if you got that. He also wants to know how is your new job at Route 2 in Birmingham going? It's got better. It's got better since we dropped the cabaret, and we dropped the DJ music, and we're now doing karaoke on a Friday night, and it's got busier by a factor of 10. Really, it's 10 times as busy as it was. Now, that doesn't mean there's hundreds of people there, because it was so bad, we only had 4 or 5 people in on some nights. Okay, now we're getting 40 or 50. So yes, it's much better than it works. Can we build on that? I do hope so, because certainly, I mean, there are karaoke nights all over the place, of course, right? But the fact is, the place I work at, Route 2 in Birmingham on Friday nights, we can do karaoke so much better there because we've got a massive stage, proper lights and good sound in there. And of course me. And I try to make it as fun as possible for people. And I really do feel we can do karaoke better than anyone else in Birmingham. So I think that's our kind of thing that we've got to work on there. It can get busier. It should get busier. And we've got the facilities to do that there. So yes, it's much better. Thank you very much. He says here, it's also been a week of early shifts on board. Oh, hang on a minute. No, he goes on again here. He says, again, about the Thames television skyline that's behind you on some of the videos. I want one. He says, I also love the old ITV London Weekend and Thames, where the premium output of ITV programmes, and it's just gone down. It's just gone so downhill on ITV over the last 10 years or so. Yeah, I entirely agree with you. Well, we had the big, I think, as well as Thames and London Weekend Television, you also had ATV, and Central, of course, followed on from ATV, and the other big one was Granada. I think they were the biggest one, and of course Yorkshire Television put out some very good programming. They were the big ones. All the smaller ones they did some good programs as well, but they were kind of the five. The 5 big ones were Thames, London Weekend, ATV or Central, that's the same thing, Granada and Yorkshire, weren't they? He says, it's been a week of early shifts for me. The alarm clock's been going off at 3:30 in the morning for a 5 a.m. start, so I'm a bit knackered, but I've got a long week off to recover. It could be worse. We have some shifts that start at 3:20 in the morning. So the alarm then goes off just before 2 o'clock in the morning when I work that shift. Yeah, and of course you've got all the noise to put up with from your neighbours as well. I don't know how you put up with that. He says, I've been off to Liverpool to do a little shopping and a lot of eye candy spotting. Always been looking at the lads again, have you? You can't help but have an ogle when the scallies are walking around. Oh, I can't read the rest of that. Mark, please, it's a family show. Thanks very much for the emails there. Okay, it's always a pleasure to hear from you, and indeed anyone else. Do feel free to send us an email. You can also write into the show. If you're listening on the radio and you don't have access to the computer, please feel free to write in. I'm going to give you the postal address after the next email, okay? Postal address coming after the next email. And this is from, Suko, who we haven't heard from for quite some time. Suko is a very busy young lady now, aren't you, these days? And Suko writes, a subject of elf awareness. It has come to my attention that listeners to elf television are viewing elves stereotypically. It is unfortunate that elves have historically been viewed as subhuman, and that captive elves have thus been employed as slaves, pets, toys, garden ornaments, Monopoly game tokens, curios, and the occasional jockey. As Section Chief of the New York State Association of Elves, it is my duty to educate the world's population in elf awareness. Elves are a race of human miniatures in nature. They were at one time considered to be fertility gods and to possess magical powers. They were also thought to be immortal. Anyone who has visited Iceland or Scandinavia knows that this cannot be further from the truth. There are over 1,000 elf cemeteries in the above-mentioned areas and about 427 in the US and 215 in China. It is true that their average lifespan is about 349 years. But that and their minuscule stature is where the difference ends. As such, elves are to be afforded equality in dignity and rights and freedom without distinction. In my capacity as Section Chief, American Association of Elves, Lower Manhattan Division, I propose that Jeremy be sentenced to elf sensitivity training, which I will arrange with the Pennsylvania Division of the American Association of Elves. Unfortunately, I have no jurisdiction in Spain, so cannot propose the same for Maureen. But I will contact the Spanish authorities and she will be put on a list of persons of interest. As for Cricket the cat, I suggest a catnip mouse scratching post and some quality time from Jeremy. From Suko Sullivan, Section Chief, American Association of Elves, Lower Manhattan Division. So thank you for that, Suko. And it's nice to hear from you, dear. I know you're so busy with all your other radio things that you're doing now, but please do try and find a minute or two for your Chris Reardon of United Kingdom Talk. And incidentally, I hope you're drinking your tea and coffee out of the set of United Kingdom Talk stroke bingo mugs that are provided with you, and I've eaten all your beans now. Delicious they were. Oh, that's what I meant to tell you. I've been looking on the internet to see if there's anywhere to buy bush beans in the UK, and I cannot find anywhere. You would have thought someone would have imported those, but I cannot find bush beans for sale anywhere in the UK, which I'm rather disappointed about. Okay, kids, we got the email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. If you want to send me a letter through the post, then you can do that as well. Perhaps a picture of yourself, ready for our new screen that I'm going to put up on the wall behind me. The postal address is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Once again, that postal address, Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. All right? Okie doke. Quick one here from Carl in Yorkshire. Another one who's he's been a bit quiet recently, Carl. And he puts a little note on the YouTube page who says there are 3 more Doctor Who specials this year, because we haven't had much Doctor... As I said to you, we haven't had a series of Doctor Who this year here in the UK. It's coming next year. Do you know, it's starting to rain. We've got another three minutes left, so hopefully we'll finish the show before it pours down. Yeah, there's going to be another 3 more Doctor Who specials this year, and a new season of Doctor Who next year, okay? And he also suggests, how about having a guest studio opener for the new Britannia studio, which is now open and in full swing production, except of course when I'm outside. And he says, how about a guest studio opener? Can you get your mate Tommy Boyd? Would love to see him again opening my new studio. I don't know about that, dear. I mean, I think I'm probably a little bit too small time for Tommy Boyd to come all the way down to the Mirrorball Studios and open him. But nice thought there. Nice thought there, okay. Another quick one here from Robert in Iceland, who writes, he's already seen me do the first few episodes now, and he says, Chris, I think you're doing a really good job with my story, and you selected my all-time favourite, the music that we're using playing behind while I'm reading out Robert's story is indeed is Peer Gynt. That's P-E-R-G-Y-N-D. And he says, indeed, my daughter, Sloveg, was named after that opera. Good job and thanks. And he sent another little email here, which I thought I had with me, which was a really nice comment that he made. No, I haven't got it, but it basically says, thank you very much for reading out my story. You've brought it alive in your chat show. So I'm glad. I'm really glad at that, and I'm very pleased that you've been enjoying that. Okay, now we're nearly out of time. I've got another letter here from Susan, our cat lover, who hasn't been with us for a while. She's had a bit of a rough time. One of the things that's happened is that her father's died, so I'm very sorry to hear about that. He was 86 years old. There's more to the story, which I won't read out. I think that's a private thing for between you and me, so I'll keep that. But you know, Susan, I'm sorry to hear from that. As I've always said before, as I've found out myself, time does not heal, but it will allow you to learn to live with the terrible loss that you suffered, and my heart goes out to you. The rest of your email coming up in the next show. Thank you very much for listening and watching. I'm going to go home now quickly before it's pours down with rain. From myself, Chris Reardon, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.